Alright, so there's a lot I want to clear up when it comes to this video. I want to just pretty much show everybody where I started, which basically, I'm not even joking, I was a struggling C1 finisher to overall now a person that has actively been in G2 for pretty much most of this season, trying to make their way to G3. So I wanted to tell people my journey, what it took, what happened, and basically give more insight on my journey from being C1 to now G2. What's up, guys? Welcome to a new video on the channel. Before we get into everything, if you guys do enjoy my content or do enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe if you want more content. I'm trying to post more videos on YouTube. I'm trying to figure out what I want to post, but mainly what I'm gonna try to post is more RTA content and just more RTA help content, because I know a lot of people are asking me certain questions or they're not used to seeing me in Guardian. But I want to tell people that this wasn't a journey for me that just basically it happened overnight. It took a good couple years for me to actually get to the point where I'm sitting in Guardian, where it's very comfortable for me, and I'm over here just being able to challenge a lot of the top competitors in Summoners War. But it took a lot of learning and also a lot of me getting the right monsters here and there. Obviously, you see TN Lane on the screen, and that may have something to do with it. But overall, I just wanted to basically go over everybody, what it took, and just overall my thought process on making my account better. Because I know a lot of people, especially this season, are trying to get more into RTA, and they're asking the questions of what do I do to need to get better? How do I counter the meta? I know a lot of people are struggling in this, Oki Chung Pung meta, which is just dominating right now. I can't tell you too much about it, but it's just kind of how it is. The meta right now is very, very unit, and it's unit dependent for sure. But there are still people out there that I know of that are pretty much succeeding without all these meta units and doing what they can to basically survive and gain rank. But it's possible. I know a lot of people don't want to admit it, or they don't want to concede to it, but trust me, it's possible. But overall, I want to start from my journey from C1 to basically my journey now. When I started doing RTA, again, that was probably years ago. No, technically the first season I mainly got into RTA was actually, ironically, this season right here. What is it? The Skydiver season. Literally, this is the season where I mainly first got into RTA and started to climb. And I think this season was so long ago. I forgot what season it is. I want to say it's season 4. But that was the season I first got into RTA. At that point, I was just kind of doing whatever. I think the only LD I had at that time was Celia. And so Celia was the unnerved monster that she was at the time, where, her skill 2 was mainly super consistent, and she was overall just a pretty good monster. So Celia honestly carried me to C1 at that point. I didn't have amazing runes, I didn't have a crazy set. I just overall just took advantage of the one LD that I had that was pretty great, and then went from there. And I ended up getting C1. I was using Chow. Chow was my guy that season. Chow was destroying everybody that season. I had a Chow. It was Vamp. No, it was Vamp. I'm stupid. It was Violent Nemesis, and basically I was just destroying everybody with Chow. Just Chow and Celia were killing me so hard, and I don't think Fran was a thing back then. I know for sure Lauren wasn't. Free to play wasn't a thing. I'm pretty sure Fran wasn't a thing. So it was man, I feel like a boomer now, but that was so long ago, where I was just using Celia. I don't remember what I was mainly drafting. I just know I just used Celia and Chow, and those are my two monsters that got me to C1. Barely got into C1, by the way. Barely got into C1 that season, but I did it, and it was overall a great season. I felt accomplished. I don't know what the meta was back then. It probably was still Ganny Hathor. But like I said, it was such a long time ago. I barely remember what was good and what was bad. I just know, yeah, Celia and Chow. There you go. That's all that carried me to basically C1. At a certain point when I was playing RTA, I kind of stopped. I didn't do too much RTA after that. I would get C1 finishes. You can probably tell by my my transmogs. When you look at, let me get this real quick. When you look at my transmogs actually. Like I would C1 for a lot of seasons. Like basically, yeah, C2 this season, C1 next season, and then for 4 seasons I didn't do RTA. I didn't do RTA at all. And there was a point in me playing Summoners War where I felt a little bit burnt out and the game was kind of annoying me. So there was a point where I just stopped playing Summoners War for at least like, I want to say it was like 3-4 months. Like, I mean, stop playing. I didn't stop completely. I basically would, I would just log on, do my guild wars, farm my energy out, farm my arena out, then I would close the app. And I did that for literally like 4 months. So I missed out on 2 good seasons. Then when I came back to Summoners War, I decided I wanted to take it a bit more seriously and get better at the game. So what I did, and I say this very often, a lot of people know the story, but I farmed Giants for a straight year. I farmed Giants and only Giants for a straight year, nothing else. That's all I did. That's the only dungeon I farmed. I think I would do R5 on the weekends, usually Sunday. Most people know, like, for me, I farm R5 primarily on Sundays. I try to get like a lot of R5 done on Sunday. That's just my R5 day. I don't know why. It's just been a thing for me. It works. Leave me alone. But I literally farm R5 on Sundays. But when I came back to Summoners War, all I did was farm Giants. That's all I did. And to the point where it's almost a meme on my channel. But I really do value I highly value Giants, because Giants is what flipped my account to where it is now. I have a lot of decently good Swift sets. I would like really good Swift sets. I would say I probably have, you know, I would say I have above average Swift sets on a good amount of my monsters, but I overall really highly value Giants when I came back, and so that's all I farm. And I know a lot of people, especially in the current meta, or people that basically went from Giants and then they got a Giants team, they farmed it for like 2 weeks and then said, all right, I'm gonna do Trikaru and then I'm gonna just do Dragons, right? So a lot of people in the current climate of Summoners War are probably heavy Dragons farmers, and they're like, ah crap, man, I don't have switch sets. So a lot of people are in this state where they probably have, like, you know, whatever or so Dragons runes, like Violent and whatever, but their Swift sets are like super lacking, and they didn't really focus too much on the Giants aspect of Summoners War. That's why I've always said, for new players that are starting Summoners War, they kind of have to stick in Giants for a long time. A lot of people get into, like, they watch other streamers and they see like, oh, we have these crazy Violent sets, and they're like, man, like, oh man, Violence the way. And I think we set up, I think a lot of streamers, but not intentionally, we set a bad precedent when it comes to just Violent in this game. A lot of streamers, you know, really have, like, they put an emphasis too much on Violent when we should put it more on Swift. That's just me personally. I'm not saying Violent is a bad set. Obviously Violent is ridiculous in the current state of Summoners War, or just in general, but I think a lot of people should really value Swift, especially when they're starting their account, because it will bite you in the ass later on. And a lot of people don't realize that basically in Summoners War, Giants will get you through pretty much everything in the game. You could do every base thing in the game with Giants runes. If you want to do BJ5, Giants runes. You could put your Bell on a Fatal set. Basic arena, Fatal Blade, Swift, whatever, Swift Broken, Guild Wars, you can put your monsters on Swift, and you could basically craft Violent if you're getting enough materials, especially now with these events where you're getting basically like craft your Will runes, craft your Violent runes. You know, Scott to us is very generous right now with the amount of runes that they're pretty much giving out to the community that are just overall just really good. A lot of people are getting really great runes from events, like I know last year we had the, like, you know, +6 your rune event. That event is insane. So a lot of these players don't have to ideally focus too heavily on Dragons in the early game, because you're able to craft Violent, you're able to craft Will, you're able to get Violent and Will from the events. So you don't have to put so much emphasis, in my opinion, on Dragons too early. But for some reason, a lot of people just say, screw Giants and go straight to Dragons. And in my opinion, that's just a really bad mistake that a lot of early game players do. So if you are an early game player watching this video, my best advice to give you is to really stick in Giants for as long long as possible. Like, I know players that stuck in Giants for a year like I did. I'm not recommending that at all, but I do think people don't have to put so much emphasis on Dragons too early, but for some reason it's just a thing to do. A lot of players really want to just go to Dragons and say screw Giants, and then they realize at some point that basically they kind of wish that they eventually stuck in Giants for a while, because their Swift sets are lacking, especially in the current meta, because you probably have the monsters for the meta, but you probably don't have the Swift sets for the meta, and your violence sets are probably like mid-range, so you're overall probably really slow. So it's just overall like a really weird spot. But right now, the ones that are succeeding in the current meta are the ones that are zooming. They're in their Lambo, they got 300 sets, they're zooming. There are so many people in like Conqueror range that are just really fast with their Swift sets because they farm Giants. They really just, you know, they got the sets. It wasn't overall just getting lucky. They just took the time to farm Giants and get the Swift sets out of there and then made the appropriate transition to Dragons. So in my opinion right now, because right now we're kind of in a turn 1 meta, and what a turn 1 meta means is basically if you move turn 1, there's a good chance you're going to win. And that's what a lot of people are facing right now. They're like, oh man, like if they go first and everything lands, I kind of just lose. How do I beat that? And literally the best answer is you either resist everything or resist most of the stuff, or you outspeed them. Those are like pretty much the only two options right now when it comes to like beating the turn 1. Or you just have like monsters that are kind of, you know, really good in the turn 1, like Juno or Verve for like the Chiwoo and Chung Pong stuff. Tetra's pretty good. Like there's options for there's options against turn 1, but it's overall ridiculously hard if your rune depth isn't there. Like people like have like, oh, I can rune on this stuff, but they're too squishy. Like people have Verds, and the Verds are like plus 200 defense, like plus 9k HP, and it's like that's not gonna cut it, and especially in this meta, because everything does so much damage with additional damage artifacts, with everything being on probably on a crit damage build. Like people are trying out these crazy stuff right now to counter turn 1, and like I was gonna say Jolton is another thing people are trying. Me personally, I don't like Jolton, but people are doing it. I've seen way too many like DK, Daniel Karaoke literally did that against me yesterday. He's G3 and he literally bust out a Jolton against me, and it didn't work. Me personally, I don't like Jolton. But if it works for you, if it's an option for you, and you know it gets you a win or two, you know, you could try it. But people are trying so much things right now to counter the turn 1 Oki, Chung Pong, Chiwoo, Water Ring meta, because these monsters are just dominating. They're dominating because they're so freaking fast, and artifacts got them into a spot where basically they don't have to have much. They can be on a tank build and still just raffle stomp you. Like Oki on a tank build, Water Ring on a tank build. Like most of these monsters are just on a tank build, and they're doing so much damage. They're doing so much to you turn 1, and you can't just do much about it. So everybody's in a state where it's just like, man, like how do I beat this? And the people that are pretty much succeeding right now are the ones that not only have the monsters but also have the runes, because they kind of stuck in Giants and they have the Swift sets to do it. They just have overall to get set. But back to like the journey though, because I don't want to get too far off topic, but for most people, I would say like really like try to understand your box. If you don't have a whole bunch of the meta units that are currently right now, you have to figure out a dungeon that'll work well for you. And I think for a lot of people that have the meta units, you should be in Giants, in my honest opinion. If you have the Oki, if you have a Chiwoo, if you have units that are really good for turn 1, I highly suggest that you stick in Giants. If you do not have Oki, Chung Pong and stuff like that, then you could probably prioritize Dragons and get efficient Dragon sets. And by efficient, I mean, you know, good, decent speed, decent HP, decent defense, resistance, accuracy. Like really get your monsters that are not primarily turn 1 on really efficient turn 1 sets. Like get your Fran tanky, get your Vigor tanky. Don't have your Vigor on crit damage if he only has 200 defense. Really focus on making your Vigor as tanky as possible, so that way he can be able to catch you back up turn 2. You don't have to have a vigor on a crit damage build. My vigor hits pretty hard on a tank build. He hits like on a death break like 7k a hit. So if he hits the death break on the first hit, he's doing at least like 14k, 20k damage, which is really good for a vigor that's not on crit damage. And a lot of people do have their vigors on a tank build with artifacts and stuff like that. So basically what I would suggest for a lot of people, if you are just entering into Summoners War, you're just trying to get into the RTA, figure out your box, see where you're at, and then prioritize the dungeon and also R5 and also artifacts. Everything, it's a whole package deal. If you want to get better at RTA, you have to understand that a lot of people that are playing right now are doing all this to get better. A lot of people that, you know, follow me, are doing really well when it comes to just overall getting the sets they need and overall farming in dungeons that can make their account better and trying to pick up where they lack. A lot of people that are lacking Swift sets are farming Giants. A lot of people that lack Swift meta units are farming Dragons to get the efficient stuff. It's overall just understanding your box and where exactly you can get better. And I think a lot of people have to try to figure that out. And me personally, it's like, you know, I just think a lot of people have to like sit down, look at the runes, and understand where they lack. I think a lot of people just blame the game too much when it comes to like, oh, like I could have, like, the violent procs ruined this game or bots are ruining this game. There's a lot. Me personally, I understand that bots are a problem in Summoners War, and I do hate bots. I think people should really like, I think I've always said this. I really feel like if you are a person that, you know, doesn't play the game, or if you put your game on auto, I really feel the auto button should be removed for Summoners War. That shouldn't be a thing, especially in RTA. Like, but I really feel like if you play well against the bots, you don't have to worry. I think a lot of people just blame the bots and just want to say, oh man, like the bots are the reason why I'm losing. Like, trust me, like the bots are the last reason why you're losing, because a lot of bots in Summoners War are so bad. Like they'll do the worst plays, they'll do all this stuff, and you know, it's unfortunate to lose to it, but I feel like once you get to a point when you start getting better and start learning, you trust me, the bots are the least of your problems. The bots are like 1000% the least of your troubles. So I think a lot of people should really like focus on where they can get better and really hone in on that. Like if you're missing grinds, get your BJFR team going, or just get a normal R5 team going. A lot of people don't have the BGR5 sets, so they just do normal R5. There's a lot of people that I know that are still doing like R5 with like a mid and under. Like you have to prioritize where you're lacking. And I think a lot of people just don't do that, and they just want to blame the game for a lot of stuff. Like overall, like, oh, like I'm losing to Miho. Trust me, Miho is also the least of your problems. Is she annoying? Hell yes. But is she beatable? Hell yes. There's a lot of monsters in the meta right now that are very accessible that just destroy Miho. Vigor on a not crit damage build, a Lucia. There's a lot of options to fight. Even Luere. A lot of people I kind of sleep on Luere. And Guardian, I've seen a lot of Lueres. The Water Phantom Thief, for people that don't know. The Water Phantom Thief has been very underrated in my opinion, but I think it's an option for some people if you want to go that route. Me personally, I feel like the options are out there. I think people are just too focused on like what's too good and they want that. And I think that's one thing people should try to do in the future. It's just like, instead of just like see where they're lacking, like see what, you know, they just get creative. I know a lot of people that are very, very creative in this matter. Very, very, very creative. And people are using just like very underrated stuff that you'll never see in the meta, and they're being successful with it. Like a lot of, like one person I know, Koshiki. A lot of people probably don't know Koshiki, but shout out to Koshiki. He's out there using Delphoid, and he reads Guardian using Delphoid. Crazy. like I would never expected that. But I think a lot of people just like, you just gotta try stuff out and then see what works and what kind of fits your playstyle and what you have the runes for. So, and that's what I did. So basically, like, I went through a bunch of phases where all I did was just try out stuff, and a lot of stuff failed and a lot of stuff stuck. And when I was getting better at RTA, I literally just took, like, I was using Hathor first pick. This is at the point where I had no speed leads. I had literally 0 speed leads besides like Samad, and I'm not cleaving, so I'm not using Samad. So I had like no speed leads, and the only meta unit I had was Hathor. So basically I was like a Hathor first picker, but I had days where I was like C2 picking Hathor, and Josephine would always just like, you know, ruin my goddamn day. And I can't stand that unit still to this day because of just Hathor. And me personally, a lot of people don't know, I don't like using Hathor. I really didn't, because I felt like I was just forced to use her because she was so good and it was the only way I could actually climb. But Hathor was just like, I just didn't like using the unit because just so many counters that people had that were pretty much accessible, and that just would destroy her. Would she give a lot of free wins? Hell yeah, she still does to this day. But I couldn't stand using her. And then I finally got my first speed lead with Vanessa last year during anniversary, and when we got the free Transcendence Scroll. So thank God for that. Vanessa is my first actual like RTA speed lead. I put her on like an amazing set that most people don't know. I put her on a really good set because at that point she was pretty much like my hard carry unit, and I basically just went off of that. I used Vanessa, I used Fran, Vigor eventually came into the meta, and basically I was just like, for the most part, like up to C3, with using like Fran, Vigor, Vanessa, and then I would add in like Savannah. My Savannah used to be on a Swift Will build, now she's Violent Will, and I would just, I was just trying stuff out. That's all I did. Like when I first started, I just used what I had, and I just tried to play smart, and try to make efficient plays. But everything changed, obviously,
when the Fire Nation attacked.
Once I got Tien Lane. Tien Lane, at the moment when I got him, he wasn't super hard meta, but it was at that point where everything kind of changed because now I had an LD unit that was really good. But Tien Lane didn't instantly jump me to Guardian. It took me a bit to understand Tien Lane and when to throw him in. And even then, when I got Tien Lane, he wasn't like the hard counter meta as he is now. But then it was like, I'm fighting a Verd or something like that. And I had Chiwu too, but I wasn't really picking Chiwu at that time. But I was literally, I'm not even joking, I was a Fran, Vanessa, Vigor player. That was my first 3 picks for like the most part, and I would add in 2 other picks that just, that fit into the comp. And I would just do whatever worked for me. Like I was, like my draft looked pretty free to play besides Vanessa. Like I would Fran, Vanessa, Vigor, you'll probably see a Verd, you'll probably see a Lucia against LDs. What the main thing that changed with Tien Lane was that if I fight a Ragdoll player, now I get the option of either having a Lucia or not having the Tien Lane. Like I would just have either or. Usually if I pick a Lucia, they ban the Lucia, and I just had trouble against like LD comps like Ragdoll comps. You see a lot of Ragdoll comps, but the main thing that helped me out when it came to that was essentially just having the Tien Lane, because now I have a good counter to essentially the LD comps, and the Lucia was really good, but they'll ban a Lucia because Lucia can pop out sometimes, and she's like pretty much like hard lockdown, and that was what really stopped me from basically like fighting a lot of LD comps. So that's all Tien Lane ideally changed in the beginning. Now he's pretty much like the hard counter meta, and so now he's just busted because like the turn 1 meta with Water Ryu, with the attack with absorption, with the shear, with pretty much every oracle being used, a lot of these like just hardcore turn rotation monster, obviously Tien Lane counters them because they're so hardcore meta now. So now Tien Lane is like a busted pick in the meta. And I just had a Wu Young literally last night. I wanted to use some more, but with the help of Lucky, I kind of understood that she kind of doesn't need to be on a crit damage build. And yeah, like that overall, just like understanding my box and overall getting better. And I'm not gonna front, obviously me having, like I got Chung Pum before he was nerfed, before he was buffed. I do feel like he needs to be nerfed though. A lot of people are just like, oh, like he probably doesn't want Chung Pum to be nerfed. Trust me, I say it like all the time. I think Chung Pum needs to nerf. I think a lot of people just have bad ideas for nerfs in my opinion. But overall, with just me like kind of understanding like where I needed to get better, and even to this day, you see me, I'm farming giants. I don't stop. Like I understand this current meta, I really need to farm giants in order to maintain obviously good Swift sets and obviously Swift depth. So I think it just depends on your account. You have to just figure out what works for you. So I hope that can help you out. But like I said, I try to tell people like what you want to do for RTA is like you just have to figure it out, like what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and learn to pick and ban. But it's all practice. I think a lot of people have to really get used to practicing. Go to Noob Room, see what ask opinions, have people watch your replays, do all of that, because I did all of that. I had people, you know, jump on my account. I had people do everything possible for me to learn something, and whatever I could take away, I just ran with it. But you don't need super hardcore meta units to reach G1. And I know that's a shocker to hear for a lot of people, and it's going to be ridiculously hard, but I think with farming, with grinding, and overall just improving your account, you can get there as long as you know, get creative about the things that you use in your box, and just play smart. Play as smart as you can. Again, you can't beat everybody, and that's one thing I learned when it comes to RTA. You can't beat everybody. There's gonna be people out there that do beat you, but there are people out there that you can beat. You know, a lot of people make mistakes in RTA. I still make mistakes in RTA. I'm G2 and I make mistakes every day. And I think a lot of people just have to understand that, you know, nobody's a perfect player. Everybody makes a ton of mistakes, and how you get better in RTA is by you lessening the mistakes that you make. And also, one bigger advice I can give to people is try to not get too mad at Summoners War. You know, there's a lot of things in this game that obviously are annoying. Violent procs are annoying. Luck sacking happens. People get the right stun. People get the right everything. It happens in the game. But in my opinion, it's not worth to get mad about it. There's no point in like getting too mad about it. Can you be annoyed by it? Hell yeah, get annoyed by it. Let the annoyance sink in a bit, but don't let it just override your overall, like, you know, don't let it take over your mind. You know, just overall, like, understand that it happens, and then if it's getting too annoying, get out a ladder, go back to farming, put it on auto farm, go play a different game. I think a lot of people like they focus too much on the game and they don't get away from it. Trust me, like, I put like auto farm, even though I'm not personally the biggest fan of it, it allows me to basically, like, even before auto farm, I would just like have the game to the side while I'm playing another game or doing something else, or watching streams or watching other people. So I think a lot of people just have to like take the time to like understand and just like don't get too frustrated by it. Watch the replays too. That's a good option too. But try not to let this game get under your skin. You know, it's gonna happen. It's Summoners War, and at some point you're gonna like get used to it and understand, like, you know, this stuff happens in Summoners War, and you overall, like, you know, can't let this bother you too much, or you're just gonna just ruin your fun, I guess you can say. Me personally, I find RTA a lot of fun, and I love when people do unique stuff, and I like when sometimes I luck sack or sometimes like the opponent luck sack. It happens, you know. I'm just so used to it by now that it just can't bother me no more. But like I said, like, that's the advice I can give to you guys, like, over my journey. Like, I'm not a person that just, you know, shot up to G1 and, you know, out of nowhere. It took me time. It took me a lot of time and a lot of learning and a lot of help. You know, it takes a village to raise a child. You know, that's kind of the mindset when it came to me, at least. And there's a lot of people I can thank, and I thank them every stream for as far as like people that helped me get better. I always say Lucky was a person, Lucky Madman, Rageki was none of them, Tyler, Once in Love. There's so many people I can thank to overall like me getting better at RTA. It wasn't just me. You know, it took a lot of people to, like, you know, hype me up and, you know, give me the help in order for me to get to where I am right now. And, you know, like I said, the ceiling, I'm trying to hit that ceiling, man. I'm trying to, you know, try to place for that SWC if I can. But, you know, if I don't get to SWC, at least I can say, you know, I've, you know, climbed to, you know, currently top 1,000. I was like top 500 at some point, but I dropped a bit. But, you know, I was, you know, out to top 500 in the game, and I never thought I would be at that point. But, you know, like I said, it took a lot of things. Obviously, LDs played a factor into that, but overall, like, you know, it didn't happen overnight. It really didn't. And I'm not gonna sit here and act like, I'm just big brain. I'm not. I'm not Topa V. Like, I'm you know, it took me a lot of learning to get to the point where I am, and, you know, I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be at where I'm at. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this though. I just want to do like a conversational kind of video and just like have people understand like where I came from, where as far as like Summoners War, because like I said, I do enjoy this game and I do enjoy RTA. I do enjoy the in and outs and the picking and betting, and I really like RTA. Like RTA is just that game mode that honestly I just really do enjoy, and me personally, I love seeing just my own growth in the game mode, and just overall, like, it doesn't stop here for me personally. I want to reach G3. I want to get an SWC at least once. I want to get SWC at least once, you know, just for the lulz. You know, I want to do some Mimi things. I'm not gonna do like Shakamu where he dressed like Dark Ryu, but I want to do some stuff. You know, hopefully we'll see where it goes. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, if you guys liked it, you know, drop a like, drop a sub, and you know, also like, you know, leave a comment. Let me know how your RTA is going this season. I know a lot of people are playing RTA, and you know, a lot of things are going on. But you know, if you guys have any questions, I have a Discord. You can leave it in the comments. I'll try to answer it. I get it all to my phone. So if you guys ever have any questions that you want to ask and you just want my opinion on, drop in the comment section or just come by the stream. Twitch.tv/I'mTheJuggernaut. You can ask me live, and I'll answer it to the best of my knowledge. And usually we have another person in the chat, or we can have a conversation about it. I don't mind having conversations about Summoners War and RTA and just overall like the current state of meta, buffs, nerfs, all that stuff. You know, I just want to have a conversation when it comes to this game. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys have a really great day. Hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace.